Spoiler alert, the following podcast includes discussions on film that may potentially, intentionally or inadvertently, reveal plot twists, character traits, story details, up to and including endings that might otherwise be considered spoilers. Proceed at your own risk.
You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
Son of a bitch, you moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? You son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! You only moved the headstones!
Sounds like some bad movie.
Let me start. Welcome to Moviesucktastic, episode 177.
That's correct.
I'm on a roll.
Look at you.
This episode we are reviewing Poltergeist, both the 1982 version and the 2015 remake.
Because we're just glutton for punishment.
So, like I said, we did not. When we discussed it before the episode, I did not say let's watch all the films because I figured neither of us would have time. I somehow managed to squeeze in Poltergeist 2 and 3, so I might occasionally mention things. For instance, the fact that when you talked about them going to do Friday the 13th, they were planning on doing part 2 in 3D.
Yeah.
Poltergeist 2 was originally planned at one point to be a 3D film.
Really?
But they changed that, I guess, when budget constraints came in.
Sure.
And the remake, of course, is a 3D film, or was a 3D film.
The one in 2015 was?
Yes.
Whatever. Hey, you know what?
Well, they had the whole drill thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just make a buck any way you can, I guess.
Yeah.
It just... And the thing is, too, do you remember... Since we're going to mention part 2, and I know part 2 pretty well. The third film I've seen the first film literally double digits. I mean, easily double digits.
We all had. As a kid, we grew up with that movie that you're watching it.
Yeah, it was on constantly. I owned it. I own it, I should say. I've seen it. I know it inside and out. The second film I know pretty well. The third film I've seen maybe twice. So, but one of the most vivid things I remember from the second film, and for two reasons. One, because I always got Fangoria magazine, and two, because of just the special effects and the stop motion that they did, was the tequila. When he was drinking and he eats the worm from the tequila.
Yeah.
That was like in every Fangoria issue for months. And months after the film was released, too. Because it was genuinely creepy. It still is a creepy scene. And the special effects are pretty damn good. I mean, even for the time period.
Now, interestingly enough, one of the things I was checking about, you know about the Poltergeist Curse, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
one of them...
Everything in that curse, from Spielberg really directing the movie to the cast and the crew... No. I know. No. I'm going with it. I'm going with it. With the cast and crew thinking that the set and locations were actually haunted for real. To the daughter.
Yeah.
The daughter in the first film being murdered.
Just fucking. I totally. I don't know what happened where I never really got it, recognized that. I had blinders on during that decade or something. I didn't realize that until I went back and rewatched Poltergeist last week. I was like, what? Really?
Yeah, the curse was it was a big deal.
Well, with her, I mean, specifically with her, I never realized how crazy it was. And here I am, a true crime fan. I'm very ashamed that I wasn't up on it. But you're talking about Dominique Dunn,
Yep.
who's the
daughter.
daughter of Dominic Dunn, Vanity Fair editor, producer, and she was strangled to death in her driveway by her boyfriend that she had dumped that day. The same night that she was rehearsing to be the teenage daughter in V, the TV series.
Yeah, I remember reading that. Just
Yeah, and like I mean, the wacky shit of that, because after I spent like 3 hours just like reading up on it because I somehow missed it during the whole when it actually happened. He strangled her to death in the park in the driveway. Then he proceeded, because of the judge who was for some reason just did not like the prosecution. The kid ended up getting 6 years for strangling this girl to death, and then he got out in 2.5 years for good behavior.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, and then later, I checked, because I'm checking everything. I have a weird pattern when I research stuff. It's almost like a meta, like, link, open up. I have like 3 screens up and everything.
Sure.
And the judge was lambasted for the decision, because he even came out and scolded the jury afterwards, saying it was they shouldn't have come up with such a light sentence when he's the reason they did, because there was testimony from another girlfriend of his that he used to beat her repeatedly, and she was in the hospital twice, and he decided that they couldn't allow the testimony because it was prejudicial.
Oh my God.
He had a history of attacking his girlfriends, and the judge did not allow it. So, and then 10 years later, he writes a book, and most of his book was about how juries are bad. Now we need to get rid of juries. I'm paraphrasing. I'm paraphrasing
Right.
a whole book into one sentence, but that's kind of what he says. Is like, juries aren't infallible. We need to get rid of them, and just and also we have to get rid of those laws that protect people, like Miranda.
Wow.
Never heard of her.
Never heard. Yeah. Now, the first film, you're saying that the second film is where they thought everything was haunted, and they were.
The
I
second
thought that was the
film-
first film too,
No, well, here's what it is. The first film, they
because
used
they were having
real,
a ton of problems making
Right,
the first film.
The first film, they used real skeletons because it was cheaper than making fake ones.
Okay.
The actress claims that she didn't know about this. What's her name?
Oh, Joe Beth Williams.
Jo Beth Williams. She claims that, like, the whole scene where she's in the swimming pool and stuff, she claims she didn't realize until after the fact that they were real. The second film, and this is so the second film they filmed, and he uses real skeletons again, and for some reason this is a shock. And the second film is where they demanded to have the place exorcised, and the actor, the Indian.
Oh, yeah,
Park,
from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Exactly. He performed the exorcism, if I'm correct in what I read, because he was an actual exorcist.
He was an artist first, by the way.
Oh well, that too.
He was
I'm gonna
quoted
double-check
as
myself on that.
quoted as saying that in when he did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, because I do acting, I do this, the paraphrasing the Exorcist thing, but he goes, I'm an artist first.
Yeah.
Because his stuff has been hung in like the Smithsonian. I mean, he's dead now, but I mean, he was an amazing artist.
Right.
Anyway, but there were so many problems with making the first film.
Yeah, Will Sampson. He played the Indian, the shaman, and he was a real life shaman. And he died as well in 1987. Although, I mean, it was years later. It's not like he died during the filming or anything.
No, Poltergeist 2 came out in 86, didn't it?
Oh no, he died the next year. You're right.
Yeah, he died a year later.
There's other ones that died later. I'm thinking of. Yeah, but he died.
Okay.
But his was like
Michelle O'Rourke, or Heather O'Rourke. I'm sorry, not Michelle. She had like I forget the disease she had, but she had it since the first film.
Well, she was misdiagnosed with, I think, Crohn's disease, or she was misdiagnosed with something, and they weren't treating it right, and then she came down what they thought was the flu, and then like she was dead the next day. Like she just went into, because the bacteria was all over her body, and the family actually sued the hospital that was dealing with her since birth, because for all these years it was a impacted colon, intestine block. It was like intestinal blockage.
It's a shame.
And it finally killed her because they never diagnosed it properly. Yeah.
How do you
And so
fuck
she
that
died.
up?
Now there's also like a lot of the stuff I found about Poltergeist and Poltergeist 2, it contradictory depending on who you talk to. And depending on who you talk to about her dying, according to half the people you talk to, they were done filming and then she died.
Okay.
According to other people, she died before they finished filming. And part of it
shouldn't that be easy to figure out?
Well, I would think so.
Because
the same thing,
shouldn't every scene that she's in or
here's
should
where it
be
gets confusing.
time-stamped and marked?
No, here's where it gets confusing. It all has to do with the reshot ending.
Oh, okay.
Because the ending, it really comes down to whether or not you believe that they called for a reshoot of the ending before or after she died.
Got it.
And so like that final scene, they reshot the entire ending. That's why she's not in it. So that's why at the end you don't see her face in Exorcist 3.
Exorcist 3.
Sorry, Poltergeist 3. We were talking about Exorcism. I got confused. Now speaking of shooting around, Poltergeist 2, the creepy priest.
Oh,
That's what's his name? Julian Beck. He played Cain in 2. He died during the filming, but he was pre-died. He already knew he had like stomach cancer, and so like that's why he looked so creepy, because he was
like gaunt.
He was starving to death. His body was eating itself alive. So one of the reasons you were talking about that tequila scene, one of the reasons that scene is in there is because they had to rewrite stuff after he died because they weren't done filming yet.
Oh,
so that's why they did the worm and had his face on it and stuff.
Got it.
So that was unforeseen. What I find, and I know we haven't even talked about Poltergeist 1 yet, but since we talked about that, what I found even creepier with Part 3, forget the fact that Heather O'Rourke dies at the end of filming for Part 3. They start Part 3 knowing that Julian Beck is dead. Says, well, tell you what, let's just bring back his character and just do a really shitty makeup effect on other actors playing him, so it looks nothing like him, but we're trying to.
Right. I remember that. I remembered seeing that, and I'm just watching the film. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing?
So, I mean, I thought they were so concerned about when she died. It was film supposed to come out. The studios were very concerned about whether or not it looked like they were trying to capitalize on her death. They didn't want to look insensitive, and all I can think is you weren't insensitive enough to film the whole movie with a character who died in the middle of Part 2 and just making people up that look like him. That's not insensitive to you. But I guess an old person dead, they don't care, is when a kid dies.
I guess, yeah.
And the one that blew me away the most, just in the first film, and this, I think we should lead right into your Tobe Hooper thing about who directed the film.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, hang on. But one of the bit actors in Poltergeist is Lou Perryman. He plays Pugsley. Pugsley is one of the construction crew in back of the house, like the beginning of the movie.
Right.
He also played in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Oh, which is also a Tobe Hooper film.
Right. So Tobe Hooper know him, put him in the movie. He's in there. He died, I think it was 2007, 2009. He was murdered with an axe.
Oh, Jesus.
Some guy was off. He got out of prison or detention or something, went off of his meds, beat his mother, I think, with garden shears, something weird like that, left the house, walked 3 miles, stopped at the first house he came to, which happened to be Lou's, murdered him with an axe, and stole his car. Just completely fucking random. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything more ironic than being a victim in the movie Texas Texas Chainsaw Massacre and then being killed with an axe, because it's both ironic and wrong.
Yeah.
It's like It's like close to being ironic. It's like ironic-ish.
So, I don't know how I can move on from that, but I'm going to try. Well, Tobe Hooper directed Poltergeist, or so
Supposedly.
Apparently, there was a lot of problems on set. He's not showing up. When he does show up, he's not directing the scenes to Spielberg's liking. Let's put it that way. It's rumored that Tobe Hooper directed a small portion of this movie, and Spielberg did the rest.
Right now, I'm going to jump in and give the alternate view, because, again, this is another contradictory thing. Spielberg is on record as saying, no, that didn't happen. What I did was I was on set because E.T. was delayed, and he originally wanted to direct, but due to his contract, he couldn't direct any films till E.T. was finished.
Right.
So he was producing, co-writing, but he couldn't direct. So he was on set, and most likely a control freak, but he was only assisting, like jumping in and saying stuff, to help with the vision, but he wasn't taking directorial control, and it wasn't doing it. He wasn't stepping in because Tobe Hooper wasn't doing his job, according to Spielberg and Tobe Hooper.
And it's in the best interest that Spielberg tells that story.
Sure. Now, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I could swear, I never had it recorded off a TV when I was a kid, but I could swear at the end of the film, the very last scene in the movie before the credits roll, as a kid on Channel 11, which is WPIX here in the New York, New Jersey area, I could swear that it said directed by Steven Spielberg, not directed by Tobe Hooper. I swear to this day that I saw that credit roll on the screen or materialize on the screen before the end scene, or just as the movie ends.
Could have been a psychic event. You never know.
Hey, you never know. But and then I always heard after that Spielberg directed a large portion of the film because there was issues on the set and blah blah blah.
Right. So supposedly he was doing a lot of B-roll stuff and jumping in when things are happening. Now but another thing that kind of supports the Tobe Hooper wasn't really directing the film theory is if you go back in his previous history, obviously Texas Chainsaw Massacre is what put him on the map. Then he did Eaten Alive after that. There are two other films that he was replaced on before Poltergeist.
Which were?
He did a film called The Dark, which was a zombie film that at the last minute they decided we should do an alien film instead.
Okay.
So they did like laser beams coming out of the eyes at the last minute. He was replaced on that film early on in the filming.
Wow.
Then after that, and that was in '79.
Okay.
Then the same year he was doing Salem's Lot, the TV show, and then in 1981 he came out with Funhouse and Venom, which is the kidnappers kidnapped this kid, and the kid accidentally received a poisonous snake, this mamba, instead of a garden snake from the pet store, and so it becomes kidnappers versus a killer snake. Now he was replaced on that one too. With the first one, with The Dark, he was. I think it was blatantly. I didn't find much about that because it's not a very well known film. But he was replaced because of he wasn't doing it right or whatever. For Venom, it looks like the main reason he was replaced was because he was psychologically abused by Klaus Kinski and Oliver Reed. Apparently, the two of them even bragged, or at least Klaus Kinski even bragged to the other director later that we got him off. We just harangued him until he gave up. Klaus Kinski's fucking insane to begin with, and apparently Oliver Reed didn't like Klaus Kinski. So on the set, Oliver Reed would just taunt Kinski until he lost his temper.
Wow. Which I'm sure for Kinski was a very, very short temper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then apparently they both ganged up on Tobe Hooper. So like 2 weeks in, Tobe called it quits, and they had to replace him.
Jesus Christ.
They called it artistic differences. So whether or not it's supposed, it actually shows a. I'm not saying it says that shows that he's incompetent or anything, but it does show that he had a history in the past of not being able to direct certain films. So, and honestly, I will just say, like, when you watch Poltergeist and you watch every other Tobe Hooper film, you don't.
It feels different.
Yeah,
It's a totally different feel, and it could be, like you said, it could be Spielberg being a control freak and helping direct the vision, or it could just be that the motherfucker directed the thing, because it feels more like a Spielberg film, or it feels more like a film separated from Spielberg. Like, I have to direct this, but I can't make it look exactly like my shit, because then everyone's going to know that I did it. Because there are certain scenes in this movie, specifically the scene where the guy, one of the paranormal guys, is in the bathroom ripping off his face.
Yeah.
It's like, that's Spielberg.
That's his hands,
It totally felt like Spielberg.
Oh, no.
There was no bones about it. Spielberg directed that scene. I don't give a fuck if he says he didn't.
Well, even more than that, it's literally Spielberg. Those are his hands tearing the flesh off of the face.
Oh, was it really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You know what? I think I do remember reading that those were his hands.
Now,
So-
and also, I mean, there's a lot to add to the whole theory that, okay, the fact that he was contractually obliged not to direct another film while E.T. was happening, but E.T. was being delayed, so he's there. Answer me this question. This is Spielberg. Jaws is out. Close Encounters of the Third Kind is out. Raiders of the Lost Ark is out. He's a big name director. This is a big budget film. He's doing 2 big budget films. He's doing Poltergeist, which I probably wasn't, obviously not as big a budget as E.T., but this is a major studio person, even at this point early in his career, right?
Absolutely.
So he brings so he can't direct it. So they bring on a horror film director.
Right. Which, at the
Doesn't
time,
make sense.
who's been pulled off of 2 other films just recently in the last 3 years.
Yeah. So Spielberg, the studio's doing it. Spielberg says, "Hey, listen. I can't direct this, but you know what? Have you seen that Salem's Lot TV show? I think we can get that guy." So I mean, it really, for me, it has the feel of not that, oh, Tobe Hooper came on and he couldn't handle it, and so Spielberg had to pick up the slack, but rather, hey, listen, here's the deal. You technically direct the film. I'm not allowed to, but I'm going to be there and I'm going to be kind of directing, but you get the credit and you get the film and everything. I just want to be there because it's my baby.
Right, and it is executive produced by Spielberg, which is
Right.
bigger than the producer credit. When
And-
you're
but-
executive producer, people don't know that. Being executive producer is bigger than producer.
And how do you tell me how you sign off on Tobe Hooper replacing Spielberg directing this big film?
Exactly.
How does the studio sign off of that unless even Spielberg's like wink, wink, nudge, nudge? Yeah, he's directing. You're cool with this, right? And because Tobe Hooper is such a smaller time director, and I'm sure he knew Tobe Hooper, and like there was a camaraderie. He's like, okay, you're not gonna get freaked out when I pull my control thing because you understand. You're not gonna fight me for control after your name's on there, because Tobe Hooper, as the director, could have actually started shit with Spielberg and got him off the set.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, so you bring in somebody that's friendly with you that you know is not going to fight with you. Hey, this is a big break for you. Just let me do my thing, and the film's in your name. I totally buy that, and I don't think it's a negative towards Tobe Hooper in any way.
No, definitely not. And the thing is, it's when you watch a lot of the film, a lot of those scenes, like even the one that's on right now, where Craig T. Nelson is showing.
I love Craig T. Nelson. I've
great.
never liked Craig T. I don't like Craig T. Nelson more than anything else other than Poltergeist, and even Poltergeist 2, I like him in to an extent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know it's animated, but The Incredibles, one of my favorite films with him. I mean,
yeah.
It's just his voice, but he's great.
Doesn't count.
It counts. Tell me it doesn't count.
Okay.
Anyway, but like scenes like that, those are easy scenes to direct. They're just dialogue. When you get down to the real, nitty gritty stuff that Spielberg is known for, like the special effects, the visual stuff, those have Spielberg's marks all over it. Even the style of special effects, just like the way the actual poltergeists are the apparitions are put on the screen, the way the light shines off of them, the way it moves around in the house. It's all Spielberg. That's all like the special, like what was it, Industrial Light and Magic? I think that's who did the film. I mean, I know Lucas used them. I know James Cameron used them. I know Spielberg used them. But those are his people. I think Industrial Light and Magic is Lucas's company. I think he owns it. But the thing is, it feels what? No,
I had a brief glitch on my internet. Keep going.
Oh, okay. I mean, it feels way too much like a Spielberg movie.
Even like the establishing,
specifically the special effects.
Even the establishing shot pans. Mm-hmm. Really, it has. Watch that, and then watch Tobe Hooper's Life Force, and tell me that it's the same director.
Oh yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
no fucking way.
It's just one of those things where it's. Yeah, this is the way we have to sell it, but everybody knows it's not.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely.
Now, so Poltergeist, the first film.
Correct.
And anything we want to talk about that? I mean, we got the two films to compare. That's gonna take a little bit. So, I mean, I just rewatched it for the first time in like 10 years. So I have a couple things that were fresh in my head watching it.
Okay. We're talking the remake, right?
No, the original. The original.
Okay.
I haven't watched it in 10 years. Obviously, I'm talking about the first film.
I'm half paying attention to you. That's my fault.
Oh, why? What are you doing?
Because I'm looking up the
Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hurt my feelings. What are you talking?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So we were talking about Dominique Dunne, and she plays Dana in the movie, in the first film. All right. Not casting any aspersions on the actress herself, but the character Dana, big whore.
Are you saying like the character in the film is a big whore?
That's what I just said. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Dana is a big whore.
You have my attention.
Now, the last time we see her in the film, she's out with a boy. This is just before the house implodes.
Right.
And when she gets there, she jumps out of the car. Her boyfriend's dropping her, or the boy's dropping her off, and she has, as big as day, huge hickeys on the side of her neck. I never noticed that before.
She's like what, 15? I mean, that's what they did.
She's supposed to be 16, and the mother's supposed to be 31. So that means she had her when she was like 15.
Because she's also a big whore.
Now, in the first time we see her, one of the Craig T. Nelson's friends is bringing beer into the back of the house, and she's in the kitchen eating ice cream and pickles.
That's right.
She's fucking pregnant. She's already knocked up. She's out riding around with boys.
She's already knocked up.
She.
Do you think that's a part of the story, the plot that they didn't delve into?
No, I think that Spielberg had a lot of small details in the film that aren't mentioned, but are important. Like something that I don't know if I ever noticed before, but when they first, when they have the whole sliding chair thing in the kitchen, the first night of the Poltergeist thing,
right,
and they go to the neighbor to ask him if they've had anything flying around, they're getting eaten up by insects outside, but the neighbor's not. It's just Steve and Diane.
Right.
They're being eaten alive by insects. And Holly pointed out to me, it's like, it's kind of weird. I never noticed that before. And she said, yeah, but that's because death is lingering on them now because they're because of the poltergeists. It's like the insects smell death on them. It's like, holy shit, I never thought of that.
Wow, that's
like,
pretty.
How subtle and interesting is that they never bring it up? Also, they slightly imply, and then they hammer it to death with a fucking mallet in Poltergeist 2. But in the first film, they slightly imply that Carol Ann has psychic powers and that the mother did when she was her age too. When
really?
The mother's their first bedroom scene when they're both getting high, which is I honestly see Poltergeist as an attack on middle class suburbia. There's a lot about it, and the whole idea of these middle class parents that used to be hippies, they're smoking pot and reading Republican books now, but they used to. He's reading a Ronald Reagan book, but she's reading a psychology book talking about how I used to she sleepwalks like I used to when I was her age. One time I sleepwalked and went to the stranger's car and fell asleep. So she's having the same mental disorders her daughter had at that age, and it's that weird disorder of hers that's making her susceptible to being contacted from the other side. And they just kind of they put it there and they don't do a thing with it. It's beautiful because like you just draw your conclusions slowly.
Wow.
There's little things like that in the first that watching it again is like, oh, that's interesting.
Huh.
But yeah, Dana's a big whore.
Yeah, big whore.
Big whore.
That's why her boyfriend strangled her.
You
are a whore, aren't you? And she's like, yes, I am. I
Not
admit
cool,
it.
man.
Not cool, man. Not cool.
It's too soon.
Too soon. Really? 30 years?
No,
33 years
not too soon.
Anyway.
Yeah, but that's just like one thing that popped in my head, like watching the film for the first time in a decade or so. It's just those little pieces, and I still think of I watching the film now. It's like this film is a huge attack on like middle class suburbia because these two parents are really they're lax parents. They're not very authoritative. Remember the scene when Carol Ann is in the ether and they're trying to communicate, and she's like, well, "Which one of you punishes the child?" It's like, "I don't punish the child." It's like, "Yeah, tell her you spank her." So we never spank her. It's like these are two parents that just like they're kind of like, okay, just let them do their own thing. They're not authoritative. They don't punish their kids. Their kids just kind of run wild.
They're hippies.
Yeah, exactly. They're hippies turned yuppies, and it's kind of an indictment of that whole. And ironically, before it became really big in the '90s, this is '82 that Spielberg's kind of pointing out this thing, whether it's intentional or not. And you just get that kind of feeling that they're not, they're kind, loving, nice parents, but they're not really great parents.
Yeah, hence why her daughter's probably knocked up.
Yeah. So I mean, things like that become more apparent to me watching it now in my 40s. I'm not just watching the ghost stuff.
Sure. I found something online, and one of the things is who really directed Poltergeist. And what it says is, if you believe the credits, Poltergeist was co-written and produced by Steven Spielberg and directed by Tobe Hooper. Okay. It says, however, the cast and crew have been telling a different story since the film's production. Speculation got so intense that the DGA led an inquiry after the LA Times printed a story on May 24th, 1982, implying that Spielberg was the real director. Stock with quotes from the cast who is running what Spielberg outright states that he wasn't the director and didn't want to be the director because he was too busy working on E.T. This is all stuff that you touched on and I touched on. Mm-hmm. But that didn't stop him from altering a large percentage of the shots, storyboarding the entire movie, editing, and being a large presence on the set almost every day. On the 25th anniversary, Hooper told the AV Club that the whole thing was just a giant misunderstanding brought on by the LA Times. Of course, Toby. Of course. No, I do believe that Spielberg was there every day, and I do believe that's like what we just talked about. I do believe that Spielberg absolutely directed this fucking movie, and he threw Tobe Hooper a bone, and pretty much, realistically, gave him assistant director status. Like, here, direct all this dialogue shit. I'll handle all the hard stuff, like the special effects and stuff that moves the story.
Yeah, well, I mean, I read the interview with Tobe Hooper, and he pretty much blames the LA Times.
LA Times.
Yeah, because he said what happened was they came to the set to do interviews, and Spielberg was doing B-roll shots of the pool, and so they came. It was like, "Oh, where's Toby?" He said, "Well, I'm doing this shot." And then the next time they showed up, Tobe Hooper was shooting something somewhere else, while Spielberg was doing B-rolls of the cars race, the little remote control cars for the opening.
Okay.
And he's like, and so next thing you know, they're writing, "Hey, we don't know who's directing this movie." It's like, oh, come on, and it all skyrocketed from there. That's what he says, and I mean, I don't doubt that that's how that rumor got out,
right?
Because every time they showed up, Spielberg was directing something, and like, "Hey, I thought you weren't directing this." He says, "Yeah, you don't think that everything's shot by the main director? You know what a B crew is, right?" Have you heard the term B-roll? You're reporting on films. So
Except I believe that Tobe Hooper was doing the B shit,
well,
and Spielberg was directing the movie.
or Toby was doing stuff that Spielberg felt he could do.
Or yeah, like I said, it's like
Yeah.
go direct Craig T. Nelson talking to people.
I think both. I think both can be correct. I think it can be correct, like the way we surmised, and it can be that the only reason that got out of hand and became a public rumor was because the L.A. Times pinched a stink after they showed up 2 times, and in both times they found Spielberg directing something.
Right.
So they accidentally, or just
Now, how come there was such downtime with E.T.? What was going on with that?
there was I didn't look into it, but there were some delays in it. They were planning both of them at the same time, and there was some kind of delay at finishing E.T.
Oh, finishing E.T. Fine, that makes more sense because finishing.
No, it was some
yeah.
kind of post-production thing where, and that was why, because they overlapped and he couldn't direct a film until E.T. was done, but there was some kind of post-production stuff that was delaying the ending it so that he wouldn't have been able to direct Poltergeist because of that.
Got it.
Yeah, that was the problem. And also, I mean, and compare the 2 films. If Tobe Hooper directed one and Spielberg directed the other, look at the similarities. Obviously the similarities in the writing. Both films take place in this kind of middle-class suburbia. Just look at the camera work between those 2 films.
Yep,
It's
very
insane.
similar. Even the special effects are almost identical.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it just this is Spielberg's movie.
And if the director
I'll always think that it is too.
If the director controls the vision of the film, Spielberg directed.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
All right. So, do we want to move on to the remake now?
Well, probably because there's more things we can mention as far as comparing the 2 of them. Everybody knows
Sure.
the first Poltergeist. I can't think of anything else. I honestly, I love Craig T. Nelson in Poltergeist. I'm not a Craig T. Nelson fan.
I even like Craig T. Nelson in Turner and fucking Hooch. That's how much I like Craig T. Nelson.
I'm not that big of a fan. But
I like Turner
and
Hooch.
the one thing I love the Poltergeist, the first film, is I thought the dialogue was very organic.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
I'll give you
100%
that.
realistic, but organic.
No.
And I really like the fact that Poltergeist pulled something off that I don't think many others have been able to. Poltergeist stops and takes a good 10 or 15 minutes to discuss philosophical, theological theories with the audience.
Right.
The parapsychologist, who apparently is a psychologist by her degree, but has taken up parapsychology or ghost hunting or whatever as her thing, she spends this long time giving this hushed tone idea, not like theory of what is heaven and hell, but the psychological makeup that would make an angry spirit or these malicious spirits in the afterlife. And I thought, watching it now as an adult, like, this is ingenious. This isn't pandering to the audience. This isn't explaining, we know what this is. Like, no, this is like theorizing as like taking the human personality and then projecting it into a kind of an ether, and then saying, all right, if you got a bad personality in this kind of nether realm in between worlds, this might result, and this could be the cause of that. 10 minutes into it, I'm like, holy shit, am I just listening to somebody whisper for 10 minutes? What the fuck? So well pulled off, and so opposite what they do in Poltergeist the remake, which in Poltergeist they just say, oh, you know what, tell you what, see, here's 2 pieces of paper with circles on them. Look, now they're together, now they're apart. That's what the afterlife is. I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting that I want to do the parents' guide before every movie we review.
Oh, you still want to do it? You can do it.
I'm just looking. They have someone in a detailed list of profanity in the first Poltergeist. 7 uses of shit, 4 uses of damn, 1 use of ass, and 3 uses of son of a bitch, 1 use of bastard, 4 uses of hell, and 1 middle finger.
That's the daughter.
At the
The
beginning.
daughter
That's right.
gives the workers the middle finger.
That humorous scene at the beginning. Again, this is why they're bad parents. She's watching her teenage daughter in a Catholic school uniform being sexually harassed by construction workers, and she's in the kitchen laughing, those boys, those girls.
Yeah,
You should be out there like beating one of them with a rake. What the fuck?
Yeah,
You are a horrible parent. No wonder ghosts are trying to take your child from you.
Gang bang later.
Yeah,
Especially the one actor, he's American Indian actor, the one all the way on the right in that scene. He did porn before he did real movies. He was the one guy from Predator. He played the Indian. Yeah, he was he was one of the construction workers.
A lot of horror film actors in that scene there.
Yeah.
Got Texas Chainsaw 2. Now, they have violence and gore listed on IMDb for the Parents Guide, which, again, we're talking about a film that has very little, if any, violence or gore. So how come there's like half a page here? Gnarled tree comes to life and attempts to eat a young boy. He is pulled free, however. A man imagines himself ripping off his face. Okay, that's all right, I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy scene.
Very, very bloody and disturbing, though very brief. You know, I'll give you that. That's something you may want to know before your 5-year-old watches the film.
Yes.
A young girl.
I would agree.
Here's a good one. A young girl is sucked screaming into a portal.
Portal.
I don't know how violent that is. I mean, another one. A violent earthquake rocks a house. However, no one is injured. So that's not violent. That's just like, moving.
Yeah, you could watch that on the fucking local news.
A woman falls into a large hole filled with water where that would be a pool, where several skeletons appear. They are grotesque looking. A woman is attacked by spirits and flung around a room. She is unharmed. Yeah, that's something that Holly remarked on. Oddly enough, the scene where she's attacked by when the mother's attacked by the spirits in a room at the end.
Right.
And she's like, they're trying to rape her.
Yeah, I had visions of the film The Entity.
The Entity,
with Barbara Hershey, where she actually is raped by a ghost.
Best last words of a film ever. Welcome home, cunt. Wow. Okay. But so we're talking about it. She says, "Yeah, you know what? And the problem is the film doesn't go far enough." Excuse me. So apparently, for her, that scene's not rapey enough.
Just not rapey enough. Maybe she got the hots for Jo Beth Williams. I know I do.
I don't know. I usually I just figured that I'm the one who's supposed to be saying stuff like that. not the other way around. It's just that's
well, she's
I'm a little uncomfortable.
What could I say?
Anyway, and we did, and I think my response to her was this. Well, this isn't The Entity, so we're right on track there.
There you go. That's why we have a show together.
Violence and gore. A large clown doll comes to life and attempts to kill a young boy. All right, we see, but that's not enough. We see its arm wrap around his throat and drag him under a bed, but he manages. No. All you have to say is, large clown doll comes to life and attempts to kill a young boy. Anything else is superfluous.
Superfluous.
Yeah, and another one with a mouth-like portal tries to suck 2 children into it. They scream in terror but are unharmed. Does the fact that they scream in terror have any bearing on how horrible a mouth-like portal is? I don't. And I will, as shitty as Part 3 is, I want to defend Poltergeist 3 for one thing. The filmmakers really went out of their way to do that shit with the mirrors, where they would have mirror images, but it was all like sets built where it looked like a mirror, and they would have acting doubles on the other side pretending to be the other person.
Right.
So I mean, they went out of the way to do these really complex shots where it looked like there were mirrors but there weren't, and it's a shame that the hard work and technical craft of this really extensive, really well planned out scenes were enveloped in this gigantic shitball of a screenplay.
Right. Yeah.
That really. So I mean, I felt bad. I'm watching it wow, you know what? The fact that there's scenes where they're watching, the camera's pulling back. It's see, you can't see the camera because in the mirror and it's wow, they took a lot of time and effort to do that, and it's really, really sad because no one's gonna fucking care anymore.
Yeah, it's a forgettable movie. I have it because I have to have it because I have the first 2. It's just the way that's the way it works.
Yeah.
I think my DVD set is 2 and 3 on the same disc.
Well, it was
one on each side, I think.
they were never released individually. Or Poltergeist 2, I think it was 2, was never released individually on DVD.
Okay.
Or was it 3? One of the two was never released individually on DVD. It was only released as part of that 2-pack, and it was only first available.
It was probably the third film.
Right.
I do believe the second film was released on its own.
It was the third film. It was the third film. The third film was never available on a single disc until Blu-ray.
You know what I find amazing? Watching the first film, it's on in the background now. They're moving out of the house. They got all the boxes and everything they're moving, yet they decide to spend one last night there. That's where I think the remake, it's like, okay, we got her, let's get the fuck out of here. And then they do that whole thing with that. But in the original, it's like...
They weren't even spending the night, though.
Well, Zelda, or Tanzia, or whatever her name is, she tells them that the house is clear. This house is clear.
They still weren't going to spend the night. The specific details were that Craig T. Nelson was off to do something with his boss, I think quitting. And he was going to come back and pick them up, and they were going to spend the night at a hotel.
Oh, is that what it was?
She mentions that at the beginning when she's talking to the kids. So she's taking a bath and they're relaxing and stuff. But as far as I'm
watching the scene. The kids getting in bed.
But she said your father's going to pick us up and we're going to spend the night at a hotel. She says that.
No, I get that, and believe me, I love the film, so I forgive. Okay, but it's like, how about you just go now to a hotel and then go take care of what you need to do?
Oh no, I agree totally. So, okay, we're leaving this house in such a hurry, but let's just hang out another day. No. How about we go hang out at the hotel? I'm with you on that. And I do love at the end when when the mouth of a vortex or portal is trying to suck them in, and the shots because the only thing during the filming that actually frightened Heather O'Connell?
Heather O'Rourke.
Heather O'Rourke. The only thing that actually frightened the small child during this whole film was the scene of her hanging onto the railing while stuff was like blowing into the closet. So they Spielberg stopped it and they replaced her with a little robot. So you watched the little robot legs kicking during that scene.
Oh, really?
Funniest fucking is once you notice it, you can never look away again. Every time you watch that scene for the rest of your life, all you see is little robot legs kicking. Bap, 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 bap.
And you know Jo Beth Williams is naked in that tub. I mean, just that camera needs to just move up maybe 2 inches. She's not wearing she's not wearing nothing to like cover up. She's just in there naked.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mention I love Jo Beth Williams in this period of her life.
I'm getting that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the films?
I'm getting a feeling.
What other films do you feel her in?
To be honest,
no, lie to me.
Okay. I don't know her films by heart. I just know whenever I see her when she's this young.
The Big Chill?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Because I did not... I hated that fucking movie, so I don't know if I can... man. Are you sure you don't just mean in Poltergeist?
What?
What? What are you laughing at?
No, the clown is wrapping his arm around the kid's neck. Now I'm watching the movie, because I feel that we're done, and we should be rating them at this point.
All right, well, then let's rate them. Let's go back. I want to rate all the Poltergeists, even though we talked briefly about
all of them. Okay, all of them.
So starting with the original one, Poltergeist in 1982.
7.4 currently.
Right.
I would prefer it got an 8.
All right, now very briefly, I want to mention this because what happened was we have a Moviesucktastic identity on IMDb. But somehow I logged out of it, and I can't find the password to log back in. And I'm just having trouble getting back into our Moviesucktastic IMDb account. So at the moment, I'll be rating these on my actual account at IMDb.
Why don't you just, the email address, why don't you just reset the password?
I tried to do that, and it didn't work.
That's not an answer I will accept.
Well, then you should give it a shot so you can shame me next episode because I was unable to do it.
Well, we'll talk about it after the show.
All right, so Poltergeist 7.4. What would you want to give Poltergeist? I'm not gonna say 10.
No way. I think 8 is good.
I'd be okay with an 8. The only as far as special effects go, any special effects that were cheesy, like the ghost hands coming out of the TV that looked like a cartoon, that's just because of the time period.
That's how they did it. That's how they did special effects.
Exactly.
A lot of it was animated.
Right. You can't compare that to CGI now and hold that against the film.
Definitely not.
For what
and there's a lot of stop motion and puppetry and really cool stuff like that.
Really good and done really well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching the one scene now where I was mentioning about that ghost thing with the skeleton face with the teeth, and it's just fucking creepy.
I think special effects from this time period, 70s, 80s, going through like maybe early 90s, are much more impressive when done well due to the lack of CGI technology to do it easily. Right. So I agree with you. So we're just going to say 8 on Poltergeist 1?
Yep.
All right.
That's good.
Okay, moving on to Poltergeist 2, which I didn't have up because I didn't plan on rating all of these. Poltergeist 2, 1986, a.k.a. The Other Side.
Got to be like a 5 or
5.
maybe closer to 5.6.
Yes. And since we're rating 4 films, I'm not going through the all the different amounts of.
Yeah, no, sure. I'm just thinking.
What is it called?
Oh, the analytics.
Yeah, but what is the different people of different ages, the age groups? What is that called? Demographics. I was very angry at myself because I couldn't think of demographics.
You're hurting my head.
Sorry.
What is it called?
Okay, Poltergeist 5.6.
5.6, and I'm just on the fence of whether it should get a 5 or a 6. I think I'm leaning towards 5.
I
think 5.6, a 5.5. I think that's pretty appropriate, but you can't give half points.
All right.
So
I would want to say 6 because I think the film does take more time with spirituality. The Indian shaman is a nice twist, going from Christian Catholic beliefs to more spiritual of different cultures. I like that. However, the fact that underneath the swimming pool they find catacombs with this buried cult, and at the end they have this giant fight in inner space with the priest heads with a spear, that knocks it back down to a 5.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, I it's one of those films I'm watching. I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't be liking this film, but I'm kind of enjoying the acting and the dialogue and stuff. But the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes, I'm like, what the fuck? So it really ruins the rest of the film. 5 stars
5.
It is. I agree with you.
5. Okay.
Yes.
On to the third movie.
Poltergeist 3. What's your guess on what that's rated on the?
That's probably somewhere in the 4, high 4 probably.
Poltergeist 3 doesn't even have a subtitle. Not like Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. It's just Poltergeist 3. We're giving it one shot.
Poltergeist 3.
4.5 is the average.
Okay. I would say 4. I'd be okay with a 4. Maybe lower.
You know what? The only reason I don't want to go to a 3 is because, again, if you've never seen the film, or if you saw it like 10 years ago, 15, whatever years ago, and you hated it, do me a favor, please. Go back and rewatch it. Ignore the dialogue, ignore the plot, ignore all that shit, and just watch the technical craft of the mirror sequences, because they were all done without computer special effects. It was all live shots. And the effort that they took to do something that cinematically creative is the only reason I'll go with 4 stars instead of 3.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
My favorite part of Poltergeist 2.
The second film?
Is the second film. That would be part Poltergeist 2.
Listen, we're talking about so many different poltergeists here.
You're right. I apologize. Julian Beck, he plays the creepy preacher guy. It's that part where he walks into the house. He's talking to Craig T. Nelson. He's like, "Yeah, they don't look to you for guidance. You're not a man anymore." And Craig T. Nelson's like, "How do you know all this?" He puts his finger to his temple. Because I'm smart. Just the way he does it, it's like, fuck, that's perfect. Perfect, you creepy little man. Yes. God.
All right. So I think we should go ahead. I think we should go ahead and end the show then. All right, I'm good with that. So, with that, let's go ahead and end the show.
Hold on. Wait,
What?
one thing. The storyline for Venom, if we do it, it starts off with on IMDb, international terrorists attempt to kidnap a wealthy couple's child. Their plan comes unstuck when a deadly black mamba sent by mistake instead of a harmless snake escapes, and the terrorists and several hostages are trapped in the boy's London home. Next line. A tense evening is had by all. Really? As the snake creeps around the house, picking off the various characters one by one. How do you not watch a film like that?
I think we have to.
Okay, well, hopefully we can find it.
I hope so. If we
And it
can't
was
find
released-
it, we'll come out with a different challenge.
And not only was it released in the USA, I remember Mad Magazine did a film parody of it, so it's definitely a theatrical release in America.
Holy shit! All right, it'd be interesting to get that Mad Magazine parody if we could still find it,
I'll do a Google
even
search.
if it's even if it's digital print.
I remember reading it though. I remember the whole thing with this, like beating, trying to find the snake and everything. I never saw the film, but I remember reading the Mad Magazine version of it.
God, 34 years ago. Shit.
I have a good memory for that kind of shit. It's scary.
Oh no, I do too, but it's just wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool.
All right. Anyway.
All right.
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and end the show now. All right, episode 177 of Moviesucktastic. Again, as always, thank you for joining us. One thing I do want to mention. I am on vacation starting today. I am off all next week. It does not mean that I may or may not be back. Well, isn't next Thursday the day before 4th of July? It is. No, 4th of July is a Saturday.
Hey,
I don't know. We
Thursday,
might be somewhere with the kids doing fireworks. I can't
Thursday-
guarantee there is a show next week because
Next Thursday-
I am on vacation. I'm sorry. I'm still talking.
I'm sorry. I kept misjudging when you were done. Next Thursday is the day before the day we're recognizing 4th of July.
That's right, because it's on a Saturday. So I have no idea where I am yet next week. I know I'm on vacation starting literally today. So there may or may not be a show. We'll see. We'll see where I am.
We'll be back, though. Don't worry. We'll be back.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry. So anyway, thank you for joining us. Go to our website at moviesucktastic.com. Completely redesigned and redone just for you. You can listen to the show there. You can download the show. You can watch the show live every Thursday at 8 o'clock, except maybe next week. You can go to iTunes and download the show or listen to it. You can go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/moviesucktastic. You can go to our Tumblr page at moviesucktastic.tumblr.com. You can also leave us voicemail at 908-514-4470. If you want to email us, the address is themovieguys@moviesucktastic.com. And you can download the free Android app for your phone, tablet, phablet, whatever you want. It's 100% free, and you can download it now at the Google Play Store. The mobile version of our site is coming out soon for all you iPhone users.
Woo-hoo!
And if you do a Google search for us in your computer, just do a search for Moviesucktastic and we come up everywhere. And that should do it.
Oh,
Yes.
real quick.
Yeah.
Apparently, Venom is available on Amazon Prime streaming.
Oh, so we can watch it.
But
I got to figure out a way I can get that so we can play it in the background for the live show. Otherwise, we'll just talk about it, but I'll play a different Kinski film.
That's the only challenge, but we can watch it, so we're definitely reviewing it. It just matters how our presentation.
Perfect.
All right.
Excelente. All right. Got any words of wisdom, sir?
Because I'm smart.
All right, everybody. With that, we'll talk to you next week.
You just moved the tombstones!
You didn't move the bodies! You just moved the tombstones, you son of a bitch!
Why? Why?
Bye-bye.